Dear students, in this video we are going to discuss about the functions of guideways. Why the guideways are used in the CNC machines. The function of guideways is to control the direction and line of action of the carriage. The guideways will give the direction to the carriage or to the table on which the workpiece is held, or on a carriage on which the cutting tool is held. The guideways will give it a direction and line of action. That is the function of guideways. The second important function of guideways is to absorb all static as well as dynamic loads. In the last video we have discussed about the loads acting on the machine structure, that is static load and dynamic load. So the guideways will absorb these loads, static load as well as dynamic load. The size and shape of the workpiece produced depends upon the accuracy of movement of the guideways. It depends upon the geometric and kinematic accuracies of the guideways. So this is the function of guideways. Now we are going to discuss the factors to be considered while designing the guideways. So there are mainly 8 factors we should consider when we are designing guideways. Number 1, rigidity. The guideway should have high rigidity. What is rigidity? Rigidity is nothing but ability to resist the bending. Okay? It is the property of the material to be changed or adopted. It's inability of a material to be changed or adopted. Inability to bend or be forced out of shape. If a material is rigid, when we apply the load on that material, it will not change its shape and size. That is called as rigidity. So the guideway should have high rigidity. Number 2, damping capability. What is damping capability? We know that on the machine structure there is vibration. So the guideway should have ability to damp out this vibration, to eliminate this vibration. That is called as damping capability. Number 3, geometric and kinematic accuracies. Okay. Geometric accuracies such as parallelism, perpendicularity should be maintained by the guideways. We can also call it as geometric accuracy is nothing but the closeness of measurement to its true value. And similarly, kinematic accuracy, it should maintain the constant speed or velocity of the slide. That is nothing but kinematic accuracy. Third is velocity of the slide. The velocity of the slide is also very important when we are designing the guideways. There should be a constant velocity of the slide, and there should be the guideways should have the capability to suddenly increase or decrease the velocity of the slide. They should be able to adopt the higher velocities, and they should be able to reduce its velocity of the slide depending upon the commands in the written in the program. So that is called as velocity of the slide. How the velocity of the slide can be maintained? By reducing the friction, by proper surface finish of the guideways. Okay. So fourth important aspect to be considered when we are designing the guideways is friction characteristics. There should be a constant coefficient of friction, then only we can maintain constant velocity of the slide. So the friction can be maintained by using proper lubrication, by making use of proper surface finish. We can achieve this. The fifth one is wear resistance. We know that on the guideways there may be carriage is moving or the work table will be moving, so definitely it will undergo wear and tear. So the guideways should we choose a material uh, for the guideways so that it cannot wear easily. So the guideways should have wear resistance property. The sixth one is provision for adjustment of play. In the guideways we can we have there should be a provision for the adjustment of the play, adjustment of the spindle bearing, checking whether the spindle is correctly rotating or not, whether it is run out or what. Okay, that we have to check by using the adjustment of play. The seventh important factor to be considered is position in relation to work area, where the guideways is situated, okay, and the position with respect to the work area. Okay, there should be a proper work area should be available for the proper machining activity. The eighth important part is protection against surf and damage. Surf is nothing but the small size of chips that is coming out when we are doing the machining operation. So they should not get stuck into the machine in the guideways. Okay, so therefore we should have a proper protection against the surf and the damage. So these are the factors, 8 factors to be considered when we are designing the guideways. Now we will discuss the requirement of the guideways. What are the requirements of the guideways? Number 1, the guideways should have high rigidity. As we have discussed earlier, the guideways should have high rigidity. Rigidity is nothing but inability to bend. Okay, when we apply load on rigid material, it will not change its shape and size. That is called as rigidity. Number 2, the surface of the guideways must have greater accuracy and surface finish. Okay. For the proper velocity of the slide, the surface finish of the guideways should be very good and with great accuracy. Number 3, the guideways should have high accuracy of travel. Okay. As already we have discussed, the accuracy of the travel should be very high in the guideways. Number 4, the guideways should be durable. There should be a minimum wear. Okay, when the wear and tear will be less, then the guideways will be durable. Number 5, the frictional forces should be low to avoid the wear. Okay, if the surface finish is very good and if we are making use of proper lubricants, then there should be a low wear there should be a less friction, therefore there will be less wear and tear. So the guideways should have lower wear and tear. Number 6, there should be minimum variation of coefficient of friction. The coefficient of friction should be same. Okay, so that thing we have to maintain properly. If the coefficient of friction varies, then there will be a more wear and tear. Okay, and then the guideways should not be durable. Therefore, we should maintain constant coefficient of friction. Okay, maintaining of constant coefficient of friction is very important in the guideways. Number 7, the guideways should have good damping properties. Damping means throwing out the vibration, eliminating the vibration that is caused in the guideways. Okay, during the machining operation, definitely there will be vibration. So the design of the guideways should be such that it should damp the vibration. That is called as good damping property. So these are the 7 requirements of the guideways. Okay, now we will discuss the types of the guideways. There are mainly 3 types of the guideways: friction guideways, anti-friction linear motion guideways, and other guideways. In the friction guideways, there exists a friction. There exists some friction, that is, there are 4 types of frictional guideways: V guideways, flat guideways, dovetail guideways, and cylindrical guideways. Number 2, anti-friction linear motion guideways, and number 3, other guideways. In the other guideways, we have hydrostatic guideways and aerostatic guideways. These different types of guideways we are going to study in the next videos one by one. Okay.